Well, Michael, thank you for coming out and seeing us here in Frederick, Maryland. I really do appreciate it.
It's great to be here.
Well, I've got a couple of questions I'd like to follow up with you on.
Sure.
We've been working together for, call it 10 months now. And the number one thing that we find in our association that's drives a lot of questions is the third-class medical and what it's looking like. And I know you and I have had a lot of conversations around it and trying to work in the right direction. Where do you think we are at, and where will we go from here?
Well, we're in the process of developing a rulemaking, and right now we're reviewing it at the executive level, and I'm very optimistic that we're going to have that out for public comment very soon.
That'd be really good. Any hint on timing on that yet?
I wish I could, but since we're in a rulemaking process, I can't tell you a whole lot about what's going to be in it. But I will say this, the conversations that we have had and that we've had with the industry have been very productive, and I think that when you take a look at it, you're going to find that we've taken very seriously the comments and the interest that you've put before us, and the objective of the rulemaking is to, of course, get public comment on that, and we're looking forward to seeing what people have to say about it.
Thanks for that, Michael. We'll be updating all of our members as we learn more about this, and
Sure.
Looking forward to a successful outcome as we work through the coming months.
Absolutely.
So I know you've been really working on this, Got Weather campaign. Yeah. And doing some filming here today on that. And I just traversed the country again here this last couple of weeks in a single engine airplane, and spent a lot of time going around thunderstorms. But there's a lot of good onboard weather that you have today with its iPads and getting
Sure.
briefings. But tell me a little bit what you're working on in the Got Weather program.
Well, the concern and the shared responsibility that we both have is what can we do to raise the bar on general aviation safety? And weather is the #1 cause of fatal general aviation accidents. And so I can't tell you how much I appreciate the partnership we have with AOPA to try to raise the visibility of this issue and really ask pilots to take that extra step to make sure that they understand what the weather is that's likely to develop during their flight, and to know what their limits are, and to really take responsibility for understanding how the weather can have an impact on their flight. It's a great campaign. We have a lot of participants from the aviation industry in it, and it's really, we want to have fun with it. We want people not to be intimidated by flying, but we want them to fly smart. And so talking about conditions like crosswind, like icing, not every day is a beautiful blue sky day like we have today here in Frederick, but we just want to make sure that pilots are prepared for every eventuality.
Well, thanks, Renee. I do appreciate working together with FAA on that, because we know that we can make pilots safer by just being aware of what the weather's doing and how it's constantly changing. And today, in my 30 years of plus flying, there's a lot more better tools today than we've ever had.
Well, it's amazing. The resources that are available to everyone give us a much more precise view of what's going on and what's likely to develop in the hours ahead. And we want to make sure that people are taking advantage of those resources.
Well, switching to the future a little bit, I know we've got a reauthorization, and we've got a lot of things on your list to work together where we think about the modernization of the air traffic organization and how we're thinking about all this going forward. How do you kind of align all your priorities? I know you got a lot on the plate.
We do have an awful lot on the plate, and we've made some terrific progress. We completed earlier this year the build-out of the ADS-B ground stations in advance of the mandate, which takes effect in 2020. We're now 5.5 years out from that, and we really want to work with the general aviation community to make sure that everyone's fully understanding the benefits of ADS-B and ensuring that people are taking the steps that they need to take to equip if they fly in airspace that requires that. But there's a lot of great things that are happening through the modernization program. Just a few weeks ago, we turned on our Houston Metroplex project. This is a fabulous project where we, on one day, introduced 61 new air traffic procedures in the greater Houston metro area that affects not only Hobby and Intercontinental, but also the GA fields in that same TRACON airspace. And the results have been dramatic, just huge savings in fuel, big gains in efficiency, and we'll be doing similar projects all around the country. Next up will be North Texas later on this year, then Northern California, Southern California, here in Washington, Atlanta, Charlotte. So a lot of good work's taking place on that. You're right, looking to next year, we're going to be reauthorizing the FAA, and I don't think any of us in aviation want to go through what we went through last time. We had a 4-year authorization, but I think we all remember that we had 4.5 years of short-term extensions that preceded that. And it was very disruptive for all of us. We had to stop and start projects. We actually had to shut down airport construction while Congress was dealing with how they were going to fund the program in the years ahead. And the aviation community has really come together to try to ensure that that doesn't happen this time around. I'm hopeful that we'll have some concepts that we'll be able to discuss with the Congress early next year when the new Congress is seated. And I'm hopeful that Congress will have an authorization done when the current authorization runs out in September 2015.
That'd be great to see. I know there's a lot of things working on, but how do you think we can grow aviation together? Where do you think the future of GA is? Because it's been under a lot of pressure, economics. Looks like we get good answers on fuel for the future that
sure.
support us.
Well, general aviation is really the foundation for aviation. It's what where a lot of new pilots come into the system. It's how pilots, who eventually transition to commercial pilots. It's really, in a sense, the farm team. And but it is very subject to economic trends, and we've been coming out of a tough economic situation that we've had for several years. I'm feeling very good about where the economy is headed now, and what we're seeing is an uptick in general aviation activity, and I think that's a very, very positive development. But we need to do things to help stabilize that and help encourage that, and your comment about avgas and aviation fuels is extremely important. A lot of these aircraft are pretty old, which is not to say they're not safe.
That's right.
They're incredibly safe. But they were built at a time when the whole world depended on leaded fuels, and the world has marched on, and we now have to figure out what does the future look like, how do we improve emissions from the aviation system. I was very, very pleased that we got a number of proposals for alternative fuels as part of a joint study effort that we have going on, working through the general aviation joint activities that we have. And I'm feeling optimistic about what the future looks like. But we can't be complacent. No. We've got to work together, and we've got to do everything that we can to ensure more younger people to come into general aviation.
Yeah, we can work together on that to grow general aviation. I think we're going to have a better future by working together, and I really do appreciate, from my perspective at AOPA, how open and continued dialogue that we have with you leading the FAA and getting the right things done. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for the partnership.